and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
And that's right, everybody. Welcome back once again to another edition of the Best Seat in the House podcast. And as a matter of fact, just as we go live, the New York Rangers extend their lead over the New Jersey Devils to 2-0 off the stick of Alexis Lafreniere. There we go.
Yep, Lassie just 2 goals, baby.
There we go. So 2-0 Rangers after a crazy, crazy game. We'll get into that in 1 second. But this is the Best Seat in the House podcast. I'm your host, Rob Cramer. This is my co-host, Daniel Bobo Curlin. We're both thrilled about a hell of a start to the Ranger game. And how you doing tonight, Dan?
Yeah, I'm doing good. That was one heck of a game. Like, I'm watching it. It was shades of that game in 2012 that I was at, I was at that game where the glove just flew, like, the moment the game started. Probably the game started, that game again. You remember that game in 2012?
Of course.
Yeah, I was there. That's what that reminded me of. Same two teams. Like, that was like, well, and I could tell you, I had a lot of fun. I wish there was enough time to send you this link to this video that was off of Instagram, to send you the Instagram user, because someone was pointing out to me this on one of the Instagram accounts I follow had this great video from inside the garden. This guy, whoever this was that posted this video, had this great footage from inside the garden, and whoa, that was like something. Getting an idea of what it must have sounded like in that building when that happened. I could tell you one thing, a little heads up for those of you who aren't familiar in the New York area. Sometimes on game day, during a game time, most Ranger fans can be a bit of sailors at times. Let's put it this way, if you get what I mean.
Absolutely, you got that right. And hey, man, it was looking like a bunch of sailors in a bar fight when we started this game. So in case you're unaware right now, the New York Rangers right now playing the New Jersey Devils at Madison Square Garden. Puck dropped right after 7 o'clock over here. So we're just after the first period. It's 2-0 Rangers now, as we're in the final minute of the first period right now. But go back a month ago when these teams last met, and the New Jersey Devils are still pretty pissed off about a hit from rookie forward Matt Rempe that led to an injury for one of their forwards. I forget the kid's name, but so he's still out. This is a guy that had a concussion now, so it was a tough hit. But Rempe was suspended for 5 games. He served his suspension, came back in the lineup, and he's been in and out ever since. The Devils didn't forget this, so we knew that when Rempe was re-entered into the lineup tonight, that there was going to be a little bit of fireworks. Now, we didn't think that it was going to be like this. And 2 seconds into the game, all 10 guys on the ice, 5 guys for the Rangers, 5 guys for the Devils, the first line, the 3 guys on each line, and the 4 defensemen end up just getting into an all-out brawl. So Goodrow and whoever he was paired up with apparently dropped their gloves first. Everybody else, 8 of the 10 guys in these fights were thrown out because due to NHL rules, after the first 2 guys drop their gloves, nobody else is allowed to. So when the other 8 guys dropped their gloves, they all sealed their fate for being thrown out of this game. But it was just these guys were throwing haymakers, and that was one of the longest fights I've ever seen, too. You could tell Rempe was exhausted by the time that fight ended because the referees were just like, hey, you guys are going to be done for the night, so you might as well get out of your system now. And that's exactly what they did.
Yep, exactly. I think I can tell you, I just have a feeling they just had it ready. They pretty much had a feeling it was going to happen. They just probably got it over with early in the game. That was a crazy start, and it's already a great day so far. just at the end of the first, up 2-0. It's like I was I was maybe allowed in front of the TV as I'm watching this. Well, I can tell you that.
No doubt about it, Dan. No doubt about it. It was
Yeah, yep, exactly. And I
pretty
think Mr.
incredible.
Malunigan, Mr. Malunigan was also barking with me.
Yeah, just like the rest of Madison Square Garden right now. As so the Devils had a power play at the end of the first period, but the Rangers ended up killing off the first half of it. So when we come back to the second period now, the Rangers will have a 1 minute penalty kill. But hey, after one period, 2-0 Rangers now, and they outshot them 15-4. Now let's not forget the first 8 to 9 minutes of the game, the Devils had outshot the Rangers 3-2. So the Rangers really picked up the pace of play in the second half of that first period. And Dan, I don't know if you saw. I wanted to ask you this question when we were getting started too. So if you saw all those fights break out at the beginning of the game, after everything kind of settled down a little bit, Peter Laviolette, the Rangers head coach, went down to the end of the bench to yell at the Devils head coach, pretty much scolding him for whatever the hell transpired on the ice. I guess maybe blaming him for it. But I found it really interesting because Laviolette's pretty level-headed for the most part on the bench most of the time, but something about that whole way the game started really got under his skin, because then he even walked away and came back to yell at the Devils coach one more time. What did you think that was about, Dan?
I just think there was just some kind of chirping because he knew what was going to go down right at the start of the game. Like he knew they were literally our players had targets on our backs at the start of the game. So he was probably ruffled up his feathers right before the start of the game.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah. Regardless, that's gonna happen. If you, it's just a matter of when, and it just happened.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, there's nothing. Obviously, that's one of the things we love about hockey, right? The physical aspect of it, how much these guys care, and how much they're willing to put their bodies on the line for it as well. But yeah, you just have to kind of take a step back, and the only thing that I can see is that what Laviolette was probably pissed off mostly about was that the Devils, it was kind of like they jumped the Rangers. Everybody knew that Rempe was going to be going after it, but for the Devils to have those other guys on those lines come out swinging is kind of ridiculous too, especially when it would be one thing if the hit that Rempe delivered was so egregious that um, that it was just beyond the pale of a normal hit. But the hit that Rempe gave just about a month ago was sure he should have tucked his elbow. He should have been a little bit more, um, you know, uh, aware of his body. But there wasn't like malice to it. He wasn't being malicious. He wasn't trying to injure the guy. So I feel like the Devils trying to come out like this right now, it's almost like they know that their season is done and they know that they're not making the playoffs, even though they are only a few points out realistically with about 6-7 games remaining on the schedule for them. But it almost feels like the Devils know their season's done, so they just kind of want to go out with a bang on this game. You know what I mean? What do you think about that?
Yeah, exactly. It just looks like that's what was happening. Like they knew weren't really they didn't really have much to lose, so they were kind of willing to do that. It just looked like it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And some pretty interesting things. Aside from that, when we want to take a look at the Rangers too, so obviously they lost that game the other night against the Penguins, which that was a disappointing game, and they ended up losing that game. I believe the final score was 5-2. They kind of scored 2 garbage time goals at the end, but made it a little close before a couple of empty net goals really had the Penguins pull away. But that was a frustrating loss. But the thing is, it almost was a well-timed loss for the Rangers because in the standings, it didn't hurt them at all because, luckily for them, the Panthers lost and Carolina didn't play. So the Rangers and Carolina still have the same amount of games played right now. Rangers still maintain that 3-point lead. They still have a 1-point lead in the President's Trophy race. But what it did was, in my opinion, piss the Rangers off. You saw a lot of these guys talking about how they were not happy with their effort, that they were pretty angry with the outcome of that game. And that's how they should feel. The Penguins suck. I know they're only a couple of points out of a playoff spot, but it's a lot like the Islanders voodoo, where, the Islanders have 30 wins and they've lost like 43 games. But because they did 15 of it in overtime, they get those 15 extra points. It's the same thing with the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're like a 30-40 team, but they're only in it because of the NHL's garbage math, which, by the way, they have to change one of these years. I hate the fact that these teams that just lose all the time in overtime get to stay in the mix in the playoffs, where you're 30-40 team. You should be nowhere near the playoffs. But yeah, that's kind of like what it came off to me. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, it is, and I kind of think that rule never made sense over the years. I think they just should. It should only be they get a point for a win. None of this.
Or like in soccer, they have it where, and this is the system I would love to see the NHL adapt, where you get 3 points for a regulation win. I feel like if they did that, and then you could keep it the same for and then you play for a point in overtime. That's how I feel like it should be. It should be 3 points for a regulation win, and then it should be only playing for 1 point in overtime. What do you think about that?
Yeah, exactly. And only a team that wins gets a point.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. And yeah, man. I mean, I think right now, the way we see the Rangers shaping up right now, I think everything is kind of falling into place a little bit for them right now, where early on it kind of looked like, or about a month ago, it kind of looked like they were in an uphill battle against teams like the Flyers. Not the Flyers, the Florida Panthers, and even in the President's Trophy race, the Vancouver Canucks seemed like they had an edge. Even the Boston Bruins for a little while, who the Bruins, by the way, are another one of those teams that have just lost. They're not as bad as the teams we just mentioned, but they're a 40-30 team who are elevated from where they should be in about the wild card rankings to the President's Trophy race because of all the times they've lost in overtime, which is just ridiculous. You shouldn't be rewarded for a loss. I don't like that, but hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. So I just feel like now it's just shaping up for the Rangers to have a big playoffs, and I think if I'm correct, in 2 weeks it's gonna be starting up, and hopefully a little word of advice. As I believe the first Rangers playoff game could be on 420. Please, you might, if you're gonna watch the game, you might want to save whatever your your celebratory stuff for 420. Wait till after the game, because I think you want to remember what happened at the game. I'm just saying, it's freaking playoff hockey. You want to remember the game.
Well, if you're celebrating on 420 and watching a game like we just saw this game start right now, you might start freaking out because you're going to be like, why the hell are all these players thrown out of the game?
No, I can tell you the one time I made that mistake during the game. It just sounded like the I don't know how to say, the sound of the crowd was like, I feel like every sound the crowd was making, every sound of the game was like overemphasized. I feel like everything the crowd was chanting was like very slowed down. The best way to describe it. It was like weird. One time I did that during
the game. Yeah, I hear you, man. I definitely hear you. So obviously, big game tonight. And hey, it's going to be like this every game for the rest of the season now. The one thing that the Rangers do have going in their schedule is that, or I'm sorry, in their favor, is that outside of their trip to Detroit on Friday, they don't play another game outside of New York after that. They play, the Red Wings on Friday, who are a borderline playoff team, so that's going to be tough in Detroit. But after that, all their games are either back at Madison Square Garden or their one road game left is the game against the Islanders at UBS. So the Rangers have a really good chance here to rest up and heal up and just get ready for, like we've been talking about, this next phase of the playoffs. And I think it worked out really good for the Rangers that having these 2 weeks to just pretty much spend in the New York area couldn't be more better time for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't have been timed more better. I expect this team to be fully ready to go, and hopefully once we've got everything clinched up, we'll have a good team ready to go. And I'm looking forward to it, and just a lot of nervousness and ready to probably put my electric razor away for maybe up until June, because I'll be I'll be looking kind of weird with what that playoff year is gonna look like if it gets that far.
Exactly, man. So you're 100% right about that.
Yep, and of course also I get a haircut right before the start of the playoffs also.
Of course, you got to be fresh for playoff season. Until they go on a long run, then it's going to get a little straggly. But I think that'll be worth it.
Yeah, exactly. I feel I don't know. I know my playoff beard could be something else because I'm not going to shave that whole time, dude. While the Rangers are in the playoffs, not sure what my hair is going to be like. I don't think that's long enough to. I always make that joke hockey here. I don't think that'll be long enough for my hair to look like that. But it was borderline that during COVID. I can tell you that. When the barbershops were closed, it was getting close to getting like that with the barbershops closed. I can tell you
that. Yeah, man, that's definitely true. I was right with you on that one. Dale, let's keep it rolling now as the hockey news. I mean, we'll keep you updated as we're on air right now with the Rangers. But Dan, actually, hey, we're live on air right now. Might as well ask you live since I forgot to do it before we went on air. But I was thinking, we'll do our regular show tonight like normal. But how about on Saturday? I think on Saturday afternoon, maybe in the early afternoon, I think we should do a WrestleMania show. What do you think about that? We'll do it'll be another bonus episode for us. We'll do like a WrestleMania preview type thing. Because WrestleMania, if you don't know, is this Saturday and Sunday. It's got a lot of intrigue coming up for this. The Rock's return, the big Cody Rhodes against Roman Reigns match. There's a lot of people, a lot of eyes on this year's WrestleMania. So I think it would be a cool little thing for us to do that's a little bit out of the ordinary for us. What do you think about that, Dan?
I'm down for that. A little nice little Saturday WrestleMania special.
All right, cool, perfect. So, okay, maybe we'll have some it'll be obviously be me and you. Maybe we'll bring on a guest or two just to get their perspective of WrestleMania as well. So I'll put my ear to the ground. So, hey, everybody, you just saw it booked live right now on the show. WrestleMania little preview special this Saturday. And also, if you're looking for wrestling content, check out our boy Eastside Dave, who always has some great content with him and his son Stanley Mack on the Eastside Dave and Son wrestling program.
Yeah, so that is just going to be pretty. That is always a pretty great show.
No doubt about it. WrestleMania is a fun time of year.
Yeah. Yep. That is. I have to say. I have to admit though, it's kind of. I always find it weird these days that they're doing it in these outdoor venues when it's at a time of year in an area where it still gets a little chilly. Because I remember
That's true.
I remember having to wear a hoodie and a sweatshirt underneath it the time I attended that WrestleMania.
That's true. That's true. And it is in Philly this year too. So definitely a northeast feel, much like the one that you went to.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And of course, there was that New Jersey transit fiasco with them not having the trains ready to go to pick up passengers for the return trip to New York.
Of course, as we all should know, no doubt about that. And yeah, Dan. So also, I wanted to take a look at, speaking of WrestleMania. Talk about the football stadiums. Now, one of the last times they didn't do WrestleMania in one of these big stadiums was 20 years ago at WrestleMania 20 at Madison Square Garden. That was the last time they did one of the arena shows. That one, and then the following year, they also did it at the Staples Center in LA. Those were the last two before they moved into this big time football stadium era. But I know this is a roundabout way to get there, but I did want to talk a little bit about one of our teams at Madison Square Garden, aside from the New York Rangers that we just started off with. I want to touch on the Knicks after they had a real tough loss last night against Miami. They went down big early, but they ended up really cutting into the lead, making it close. It was 96-94 at one point, where it looked like the Knicks were going to be able to get back in this game. Now, we've had a lot of different injury news with OG Anunoby and Julius Randle, who still both aren't cleared for contact in practice, which is a little bit worrying, especially with Anunoby, who's got that elbow injury. We're still looking for, I believe, the shoulder issue to clear up with Julius Randle, but a tough loss against Miami. And now, me and you were talking about them being a few games away or ahead of falling into that sixth place, where you kind of start worrying about being in that that tournament, the play-in tournament for the playoffs. But they're still out of it right now. But what's your confidence level with the Knicks right now, Dan? Because I don't think it's much of their fault, but the injuries are starting to catch up with them a little bit.
Yeah, I'm getting nervous here. I'm just getting nervous. Please don't fall apart, all right? I've been through this enough with teams already like this. Just please don't fall apart. I'm getting a little nervous, and I do not want to turn to a situation where I'm running out of hair.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't need my hair to all of a sudden look like all of a sudden I go, but like all of a sudden late in the season I go, currently I have a full head of hair. I don't want to look like that scene in the Animaniacs. Remember, it was one of the early episodes of Animaniacs with that character. I forgot how to pronounce his name. Greg, remember that guy, that German guy, that doctor, I think his name is Otto von Sniff was his name. You know who I'm talking about, right?
I know exactly who you're talking about.
In early episodes, he had a full head of hair, and then he just gets so angry and so enraged that he just pulls his hair off, and then the rest of the episodes of Animaniacs, anytime you see that character, he doesn't have hair. I don't want to put him in a situation like that.
That's true. That's true. That the Rangers, the Knicks, all the teams that we root for definitely can make you do that. No doubt about that. Dan, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm there. I just had to. There was like a Lord, I need to make sure that there wasn't a text or something that my mother needed something.
No problem. I just wasn't sure if we lost you or not there for a sec.
Yeah, because I tell her if she needs anything, usually that's the way to reach me. This week she doesn't have to go and bother me. So I had to make sure. Never mind that. You just see that live. I had to make sure that text wasn't anything concerning. It was just a dumb advertisement.
Of course. So,
yeah, an advertisement for a contest I already entered, by the way. I entered that.
Was it for the Rangers or the Knicks?
It was a Rangers contest, and I entered that.
Yeah,
contest.
I keep getting those same ones.
I'm sure. I forgot that you went to that contest as well.
Yep. So yeah, I keep getting those same stupid text messages. So you're right. They keep sending a lot of them.
Yeah, it'd be nice for once to win one of these contests. that I get text from the Rangers. It'd be nice to win one of those, and then all of a sudden text you and say, "Hey, we got to. Looks like it got a little easier for us to pull off to make sure we get that game in before the season ends, before the regular season ends."
Yeah, yeah, exactly, man. So, all right, yeah, with the Knicks right now, they dropped that tough one in Miami last night. But Miami is always tough to beat. The Knicks play their next game against Sacramento on Friday, I think. It's either Thursday or Friday. So,
Yep. Or as Steve Summers, as the great Steve Summers would call it, sack a tomato. I think I remember him calling it that a lot.
Oh yeah, I miss Steve Summers. He was the best. He's from Northern California too, so I'm sure he definitely had a lot of terms for Sacramento over there. But
I heard someone actually someone on Twitter when I'm mentioning that guy, someone told me that they remember. Someone on social media told me that they remember that guy on the local news there when I was talking about him when he retired. How I'm gonna miss hearing him on the air.
oh man. Now a little hockey update as the Rangers and the Devils are back for the second period. Still 2-0. 2 minutes in, looks like the Devils goalies having a little bit of a blade issue on the bottom of his skate. So fixing that up as we speak right now. But just about 2 minutes into the second period, and no scoring yet. So we'll keep you updated on that as we go along here. But one more thing before we wrap up with some baseball here. I did want to touch on one little football note, and it's a lot more than little. This is a big move. This is the last month the Giants traded for their big pass rusher Burns from the Carolina Panthers, a big pass rusher that's really going to impact and improve their defense. Well, at the same time, the Jets ended up losing their big pass rusher Bryce Huff to the Philadelphia Eagles. Huff was a guy the Jets, they didn't even draft him. This is a guy that they picked up as an undrafted free agent. They developed him over the course of 4 or 5 years, turned him into a double-digit sack type player, and then just let him walk. And myself and many other Jet fans were very upset about that, and rightfully so, especially when you saw that he only signed for a 3-year, $51 million contract, which is only 6 more than they gave that stiff Carl Lawson a couple of years ago. That aside, now we look at the Jets made a big trade with those same Philadelphia Eagles for pass rusher, linebacker, D-end. He could play anywhere over there where they want to slot him in. Hassan Reddick from the Eagles. This guy, look, this would be the only guy that I would have been happy for them to replace him with. Anybody else would have been a step down from Bryce Huff. Hassan Reddick is actually a step up. Hassan Reddick is one of the best pass rushers in the league. And I saw, Howie Roseman try to smear him on the way out today, saying some report came out from Philadelphia saying, we felt like Hassan Reddick was chasing sacks last year and was distracted and wasn't following the game plan. He was just chasing sacks. Look, if that was the case, he'd have been doing that for years. I think that's garbage. That's one of those things where these front offices kind of want to smooth over with the fan base the fact that they just got rid of a guy that a lot of people really cared about in Philadelphia. So I think they kind of wanted to do him a little dirty on the way out, but that's all for the Jets' gain because Hassan Reddick is one of the best pass rushers in the league. He's got 27 sacks, I think, just in the last 2 years, 16 last year, 11 this most recent season. So, Hassan Reddick coming into the fold for the Jets is a big victory for the Jets, Dan. You're a guy that's a Giants fan. You've seen Reddick twice a year for these last few years with the Eagles. Obviously, he's a hell of a player. What did you think when you heard this move?
It's a big pickup for the Jets. I mean, I could tell you his defense has been on the Eagles has been such a pain in the ass over the years. So you guys got a good one.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, man. I mean, this guy is what you call, a game wrecker. He goes in there, and especially in situations, that's why he really excelled with the Eagles, where the Eagles have been so good for the last couple of years. You know, you can unleash your pass rushers when you have a lead in the fourth quarter, and you could take those chances. When you don't have a lead in the fourth quarter, you can't be quite as aggressive. Something we've seen from the Jets where they really have had no leads in the fourth quarter over the last couple of years. But with a guy like Hassan Reddick, and you're hoping with the healthy Aaron Rodgers and the addition of Mike Williams and a fully 100% healed Brees Hall with a new and improved offensive line, you're hoping if all of those factors come together and the Jets actually do have leads in the fourth quarter to defend, then you have Hassan Reddick. And a guy like that is, even Robert Saleh likened him to, he likened Bryce Huff to like a Mariano Rivera type, meaning that, when you have a lead late in the game, you bring in this guy to close things out. He's going to put the pressure on the defense. And I understood that comment and that compliment too from Robert Saleh to Bryce Huff, and it's even more true about Hassan Reddick, because Hassan Reddick is even that much better of a player than Bryce Huff. So look, the one down thing is Reddick is 3 years older. Yes. Reddick is on the walk year of his contract. Yes. But look, the Jets are an all-in team. Hassan Reddick is 29 years old. He's making $14.5 million this year, which isn't that much. And I don't think the Jets would, especially if he goes out and has a good year for them this year. I don't see any reason why the Jets wouldn't give him an extension, right? What do you think about that, Dan?
Yeah, exactly. I can see. I can see he'll probably he could get an extension, and this is a move they had to make, even though within the year they just got such a small window to seal the deal and live up to the expectations. So they're in a situation where they had to.
Yeah. I mean, look, we all know Saleh and Joe Douglas, their lives in the NFL are pretty much on the line this year. If they bungle things up and screw up this season, at least one and probably even both are going to be gone after this season if things don't work out. So we know, as all Jet fans, myself included, are keeping our fingers crossed for a big year this year. Nobody else is holding their breath more than Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas, because pretty much their professional lives depend upon it. Look, Joe Douglas will always be able to find a job in an NFL front office. It might not be as a GM. It probably won't if he gets fired, but he'll always be employed. But you want to be the GM. You want to be the guy making the call. Same thing with Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh is a really great defensive coordinator. We don't really know about as a head coach yet. If he gets fired by the Jets, sure, he could go pick up and be a D coordinator or a linebackers coach or anything like that for most of the teams in the league. But you know what he's not going to get? Is most likely another shot as a head coach. So these guys know they're fighting for their professional existence now as the head honchos. So definitely going to be interesting to see how that unfolds this season. And as we keep rolling along here, Dan, I did want to touch because let's save the best for last. Let's save the garbage New York Metropolitans for last, because I did want to give a little shout out to our boys in the Bronx. The Yankees win their series finale in Arizona 6-5. They came back, won in 11 innings. Judge broke out of his slump in a big way, 3 RBIs, hit a bomb to tie the game earlier today. He also hit the go-ahead RBI double in extra innings. So the Yankees win 6-5. They improved to 6-1. An unsightly 7-0 loss last night is the only blemish on their record so far. Rodon looked pretty good today, and me and you have talked about this, Dan. Especially with Cole down, the Yankees need to get something out of Rodon. So getting a good start out of Rodon today is a big step in the right direction. Obviously, Soto's been killing it. So if you've got Soto doing good, Judge starting to wake up, and you're getting something out of Rodon, the Yankees are in a real good position to rack these wins up.
Yeah, exactly. They got to win this because it's only going to get tougher as the schedule progresses.
Well said. Well said. You're a man of few words when it comes to the Yankees, my friend. But you know what? I do have to just I just want to give them credit because they're doing things the right way. They're doing things the way that you'd want the Mets to do. Now I know obviously the Mets tomorrow they got a doubleheader to deal with. We'll get into that in a second. The Yankees do start a big weekend series against the Blue Jays with Marcus Stroman and Kikuchi tomorrow at the stadium. So that's going to be a big series as the Yankees come back home to get their season to kick it even to the next gear. But I mean, what do you think about that, Dan? Me and you both picked the Yankees and the Blue Jays to make the playoffs. Having an early season matchup like this right now just kind of adds to that, right?
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a lot of eyes on this one. Going to be a very cold day. What's the weather like that game for any Yankee fans going to this game?
There's a 50% chance of rain right now.
Yeah, hopefully doesn't. Hopefully that rain doesn't get any issues that, especially preventing something that, even if you're not going to the game, this is kind of neat thing that I don't know why they haven't done this at Citi Field the last couple of years with the Vintage Subway. They were doing this with the Mets home opener the last couple of years with the Vintage Subway, and I thought it was cool. They're doing that at Yankee Stadium with the Vintage Subway for the home opener. So you definitely want to get there at that time to that train station at the right time to Grand Central. You could get a ride on a subway car from the very same that was used during the very same year that the original Yankee Stadium first opened. So you get to actually get to ride in a little piece of history of what a little subway car. Maybe get to see a little, I guess, an idea of what it must have been like going there all those years ago.
Wow. Well, that makes sense. We were just talking about how that Yankee Stadium you mentioned opened. The train that they used, at least. This is a model I guess they used from 1923, which was the year the original Yankee Stadium opened. So that's really cool that they're doing that. And it's interesting that they're doing that too because this season opened up with a 4-game sweep of the Houston Astros in Houston. It was the first time the Yankees have opened the series 4-0 by sweeping one team in 4 straight games since 1923 when they swept the Boston Red Sox in 4 straight to start the season. So pretty cool that those little things line up there, right?
Yeah, and you got to give credit to the MTA and the Transit Museum, which funds the whole preservation of these old historic subway cars and puts together some of these little events. Sometimes you see in the city when they run these vintage subway cars. I know people who aren't Yankee fans that are gathering to. I know some Met fans that are probably going to be gathering just to ride in this little piece of New York City history. So it's a little neat little thing the MTA does, especially for the Yankee fans attending the game. That you get to, I guess you kind of get a little throwback trip to subway ride to the stadium.
Very true. Very true. And real quick, Dan, score check at Madison Square Garden as the Devils have cut the Rangers lead in half. 2-1 right now is Palat, the former Tampa Bay Lightning, who was always a thorn in our side back then, continuing to do it to this day with the Jersey Devils as he puts one in 2 minutes in, where it's 9 minutes into the period right now, but he put the goal in at 2 minutes. So little score update right there. 2-1 Rangers right now at Madison Square Garden. So everybody keep your eyes on that right now. Now let's move over to the Mets, unfortunately, as the Mets right now have been rained out 3 times in the first week of this season. They got rained out opening day. They've been rained out the last 2 days now, which you know what that means, Dan? That the Mets have exactly 3 more rainouts than wins. As the Mets are 0-4, they've been rained out 3 times the first week of the season. They're 4 for the first time since the 2005 season when they started 0-5. But the only difference between that team and this team is that we knew that team had talent. That team had 2 Hall of Famers on their starting rotation,
Yeah.
anchored by Pedro Martinez and Tom Glavine. That team had another future Hall of Famer on it in Carlos Beltran, and another one in Mike Piazza. So we knew that this team was going to be competitive at some point. They finished 83 and 79, but that was a young, even though they had those Hall of Famers and everything on it, that was a young team with Reyes and Wright just starting to learn how to win. So, what do you think about this garbage that we've been forced to see, Dan? And not to mention Steve Cohen saying that we should think about the playoffs. Don't overthink things, guys. Think about the playoffs. Are you fucking kidding me? Ugh, what do you think, Dan?
I'm not even do that. I'm just thinking, try to get a win. Just try to get a win before this losing streak gets too long. Just get a win right now. You don't need to. Why the heck are they thinking that far ahead of it? Just get a win right now. Get this swing this momentum back to hopefully back in our favor. Because I'm just scratching my head seeing this. I understand we were facing two tough. I mean, it might have been a close pitching matchup, but the last couple of games, it's like I feel like we've had no pitching. I'm already a miracle. I've said before that I haven't destroyed my TV. I think I'm gonna just have to offer Jabu an entire, actually, double rum, not just one giant thing of rum, double rum, and maybe an entire pizza. Pizza, and at this rate, for things to really go right this season, am I gonna all of a sudden have to sacrifice a live chicken for things to go right this season? I hope it doesn't come down to that.
I think you could sacrifice a dozen live chickens, and nothing is going to save this season right now. This is a garbage team. I don't know what the hell Steve Cohen was thinking putting together this team. The pitching is terrible. The hitting is terrible. It's a bad team. This is a 70-win team, if that. This is garbage. And to be honest, I think it's done intentionally. I think the Mets are doing this intentionally to tank this season because I think that David Stearns wants to tear the team down and rebuild it as he sees fit. I think David Stearns has every intention of trading Pete Alonso. I could even see them, and I saw the New York media was laying the groundwork for it the other day, even trading Edwin Diaz. Could you imagine that? You just signed him to a 5-year extension, and they're already talking about trading the guy. I could definitely see them trading Pete Alonso. And look, guys, like the other thing I just say is too, aside from the plan that they had that sucks and is complete garbage, what the hell has happened to Brandon Nimmo, Jeff McNeil, and Francisco Lindor? These guys all don't know how to play baseball anymore. What the hell is going on? Jeff McNeil won the batting title 2 years ago. He hit 326. Brandon Nimmo gets hot and cold at times and everything. And then Francisco Lindor, look, I like the guy. I go out of my way to defend him a lot from Met fans who are vicious towards him. But it's getting harder and harder to defend because look what he did in the first half last year. He was terrible. Sure, he finally picked it up in the second half. He ended up with 33 home runs and 98 RBIs, but most of that was done in garbage time. How about these guys hit when the Mets need them to, not when it doesn't matter? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Do something already. It's freaking hurting me. It's like, what the heck are they doing? Are they trying to? They better. I will be furious if they tank it, don't get a top 5 draft pick. I'll be extra furious if that ends like that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and then you have to remember too, if they have a bad year, they better finish in the top 7 because their payroll is still going to be high. So if they don't finish in the top 7, then they're going to get bumped back 10 spots like they were in Major League Baseball's new draft order, which was designed specifically to fuck the Mets and no other team. The Dodgers can do whatever they want. Shohei Ohtani, they can give him a 1 million-year contract for, $1 million a second, but they only got to pay him 1 penny. It's ridiculous what the Dodgers get away with. But the Mets, different story. They completely changed the rules to the salary cap, the draft, everything else as soon as the Mets get a little bit of money. And now they got this jackass owner who doesn't even know how to spend it. One more thing on a great move, I got to say, by the Mets, and by great move, I mean, it would have been awesome to see 7 years ago. The Mets signed Julio Teheran, as Tyler McGill looks like he's not going to be around anytime soon.
Ugh.
Julio Teheran got $2.5 million guaranteed by the Mets, so he's got a major league contract. This is not a minor league deal. He'll be on the team eventually, and like I said, I would have loved to see this in 2017. I'd love to see it right around there, but it doesn't look like or I'm sorry, that definitely didn't come to fruition until now. What do you think about this signing, Dan? Because even though I think Teheran, he'll be okay. He's not anything that great, but he'll be okay. But to me, this solves nothing.
Yeah, what the heck? The heck? This all right? You could have freaking got Jordan Montgomery dirt cheap earlier, and you freaking went with, and you freaking let it get to the point where this is all you had left. What the fuck?
I don't think things are gonna. Yeah, I'm sorry, Darren. You can say.
I'll be silent. I can tell you. I don't think I will be able to be talked to for if the Mets trade Alonso. I don't think I don't think anyone will be able to talk to me for ages, and I just will be silent for a month. If I have to dare see the Yankees go on a monster playoff run with us not being in the playoffs, I don't even watch the World Series if the Yankees are in the World Series, by the way. I don't even watch the World Series. I think the only reason why I maybe tuned to the 2003 World Series it's because they were one loss away from losing it. I could not stomach it. I could not stomach the 2008 World Series with the Phillies in the World Series. I could not stomach that. I could not stomach the Braves being in the World Series. I could not stomach it.
Well, there's something else you're not going to be able to stomach, Dan, because during the midst of this conversation, the New York Rangers decided to forget how to play hockey. And now that great 2-0 lead that we saw that was cut in half to 2-1 was tied 2-2, and now they trail 3-2. So great job by the Rangers. All right, settle down there, buddy. It's okay. It's 3-2.
Mother, sorry about that. I'm sorry about
it's
that.
Okay. It's okay. But
Sorry about that. Just be glad you saw that and not me break an entire TV, because I don't think I can afford to be breaking TVs.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So right now, 8 minutes left in the second period. Rangers currently down 3-2. But look, this team has fought back all year, so I expect them to do nothing less than that today. And you know what? I think with that, Dan, we're pretty much right on point now anyway. But don't forget, even though today's episode is going to end up being just a little bit shorter than normal, we will be live on Saturday for our WrestleMania show. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And, we'll be announcing more of that in the coming days. I know today's Wednesday when we're recording this. The show will be out on YouTube tomorrow. So keep your eye out tomorrow and Friday, and we'll be making announcements for this WrestleMania show. Me and Dan are going to go watch the conclusion of this Rangers game right now. So, Dan, before we get out of here right now, do you have anything you'd like to plug for yourself?
Sure. My Twitter account, Bobo103NYC. Instagram, Bobo718DK. It's the same account, username I go by, Treads. Also, my YouTube account's one word, Daniel Curlid. Also, we didn't get to mention it, but hope you guys loved that little April Fool's joke that I put there earlier in the week on Twitter. I put an April Fool's joke saying that it was gonna be a remake of Manos the Hands of Faith, directed by Stevie Lou, with Kramer as Torco, and as me as a master. And I had to say, I kind of think you could have done a good job with that creepiness in Torgo if that were to happen.
We definitely could and should at least make a little bit of that happen. No doubt about that, Dan.
Yeah,
But that was a great.
I think we should need to. I think we do need to do a video of you parroting, maybe do a Torgo character.
That's definitely in the works. No doubt about that. So everybody, make sure to keep your eye out for that. Keep your eye out on Dan's YouTube page and our YouTube page. Don't forget also, we're on Instagram at Best Seat in the House Podcast. We're live right now on Kick. Check us out there. We're also live right now on Twitch, so check us out there. Don't forget our Patreon, only $5 a month, and it's you get a lot of bang for your buck, a lot of bonus content. You get Bobo's Trackside Minute. You get sneak peeks at us doing live shows, a whole bunch of stuff like that, right, Dan?
Yep, exactly. Of course, you're going to get a little Bobo's Trackside Minute right after the Rangers game. Also, I have to say, you guys, now you guys who subscribe to Patreon, you're getting to see this live every week. Another reason to subscribe to Patreon, you get to see it live, and it's only $5. The cost of the cost of a Metro card. You get that for the cost of a round trip on the subway, and that's not bad of a deal.
Exactly, you got that right, Dan. And you don't got to wait for Thursday for it to come out. You can watch us do it live. You can interact with us if you want. We appreciate everybody's support. We appreciate everybody coming back to check out what we got going on. So I think that's about going to do it for us tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. So for Daniel Bobo Curlin, I'm Rob Kramer. This is the Best Seat in the House podcast. And we'll catch you this weekend for our WrestleMania special, everybody. See you then.